Hi friends, I'm Gio, and welcome to my channel. If you hear any noises, that's my little dog. She snores. The title of this story is, I Wrapped Him in My Arms, Wanting This Moment to Last Forever. Let's get started. Everybody ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3, I yelled, and pulled the big sheet off the object at the front of the driveway. The sheet fluttered and then settled to the ground. Around me were Grandma, our across-the-street neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, our next-door neighbor, Mrs. Gillespie, and Ralph, the postman. Plus, the cute guy that always jogged past our place had stopped to see what was going on. I liked watching him. Him and his tusseled brown hair and green eyes and light blue tank top and red jogging shorts. Lightly muscular, like a skateboarder, the guy ran past here about 3 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Welcome to a crisp fall Wednesday afternoon in Triple Falls, Montana. The trees had changed to brilliant shades of orange and yellow and red, and the air was full of the scent of fallen leaves. A cluster of pine trees that separated us from Mrs. Gillespie's house added their fresh pine scent. We stood at the edge of Grandma G's old and cracked driveway, where this morning I had finished installing my surprise. I said, "Ta-da!" and waved my hands. The new mailbox. I had made it for my 80-year-old great-grandma Genevieve. It was a little taller than the old one because Grandma G couldn't bend very well. Grandma G was tiny, barely 5 feet and maybe 100 pounds, but she still had a full head of silver hair and eyes bright as cucumbers. Her husband, Grandpa Johann, had been a woodworker before he died, cancer, and I borrowed his old tools to build the new mailbox. It wasn't any old mailbox. I patterned it after Grandma G's antique German cuckoo clock, with a peaked roof and little windows and a fun door that was just like the clock's, but larger because that was where the mail would go. I even carefully cut all the filigree and painted it the same colors as the cuckoo clock. Everybody clapped, even the handsome jogger. He was my kind of sexy. Ralph the mailman waved his arms to shoo people back and yelled, "Stand clear and let a man do his job." He put Grandma G's mail into the new mailbox and slowly raised the little red flag on the side before closing the door. Then he gestured for Grandma G. Grandma G straightened a little, walked to the new mailbox, her cane supporting her, and looked over every inch of the mailbox. She finally nodded and took the mail out and lowered the red flag. Everybody clapped. "Oh my," Grandma G said, her tiny hand quickly adjusting her hearing aid. "Speech, speech, speech," Mr. Smith yelled. Grandma G hobbled over to me and gave me a little kiss on my cheek. "Thank you to the best grandson. I love it. Everybody's invited inside to celebrate. I made thumbprint cookies with strawberry jam, and I have spiced apple cider heating in the crock pot. Come on in." "Only for a minute, Genevieve. I've got rounds," the postman said. "Even me?" the jogger said. "Especially you," I thought. And Grandma G put her hands on her hips and said, "Everybody, and that includes you." We walked past Grandma G's flag display beside the main door. The American flag was on top, then the Montana state flag. The Hawaiian flag. That's where her and Grandpa went on their honeymoon 5 decades ago. Then the German flag, because that's where Grandpa was born. And finally, the rainbow flag. "I like all the colors. It's pretty," Grandma had once said after she hung the pride flag, right after I moved in. I'm not sure she understood the meaning, even though I had told her a couple of times. I also had told her I was gay, but I don't think she realized what that meant. A flag made up of pretty colors is good enough for me. For various reasons, I lived and took care of Grandma G. She used to be more independent, but she slowed down a lot. Once we were inside, I helped Grandma G serve the apple cider, and I took a cup to the jogger as well as a plate of cookies. "I'm Glenn Hanscom. Welcome to the party," I said. "Isaac Nelson. You made the mailbox? How long did it take?" Isaac asked. "About a month, because I still had to go to college and work," I said. I took a bite of the cookie, an old-fashioned sugar cookie that wasn't too sweet, with a thumbprint in the middle, filled with jam and baked in Grandma's ancient oven, topped with a little bit of icing stripes. They were perfection. Grandma G always made the best cookies, and these were my favorite. She said she got the recipe from her great-grandmother, who came from New Orleans. Grandma G was getting old, and her hands couldn't squeeze the icing bag any longer, so I had made the icing stripes. Isaac kind of shyly looked down and then glanced at me before he said, "Why don't you tell me all about the mailbox, how you designed it and built it, at dinner? Will you join me tonight? I'll pick you up at 5. I couldn't help but smile as I said, "Make it 6. I need to make Grandma some dinner, and once she's in her chair watching the tube, I'm free until I put her to bed." That night, I made Grandma G a small portion of cheesy noodles, a small burger, and cut it into pieces, and a 1/4 cup of string beans. She loves her some string beans. I also gave her exactly 4 ounces of red wine. She boasts that is why she still has her mind, when half her friends can't remember what they had for breakfast. I was dressed in a nice pale green silk shirt with my Sunday pants and Sunday shoes when Grandma looked up from her dinner. "You going somewhere?" "I have a date," I said. Grandma chuckled and took another bite of cheesy noodles. "I hope it's with someone nice." "I'll let you know," I said. 5 minutes to 6, Isaac arrived. I introduced him to my grandma, and she tuned into Wheel of Fortune while Isaac and I hopped on his bike, a black and green Honda. I held him as he drove us to the restaurant. His cologne hinted of something musky. Besides the diner, Triple Falls doesn't have any fancy restaurants. Isaac took me to the next town over, historic Missoula, about a half an hour's drive, a city relatively close to the Idaho border. Surrounded by mountains, Missoula was filled with trees that had changed to their fall colors and had historic buildings built 150 years ago. We went to Suddenly Spaghetti, an Italian place located inside the Whitmore Manor. Though fall, the gardens around it were filled with oranges and yellows and reds. The old maple tree sparkled with white lights and red leaves. We leisurely strolled through the gardens, and I held his hand. Isaac didn't pull away, but I think he hid a smile. We ordered a spicy pasta with a sausage for him and a vegetable primavera with mushrooms for me, and we shared an order of garlic parmesan bread. And while we were waiting for our food, we started talking. "Why do you live with your grandma? Why do you call her Grandma G?" Isaac asked. I took a bite of the bread and said, "She's my great-grandma. We call her Grandma G because, when I was little, I couldn't say Genevieve. I live there because my parents are uncomfortable with me. I was 15 when I brought my first boyfriend home, and they suddenly realized I was gay and didn't want their neighbors to find out, so they invited me to leave. By law, they couldn't kick a 15-year-old out, so they did something else. Grandma G needed some help so she could live on her own. I needed a place to stay. Turns out I'm happy being away from my parents. I've lived here all through high school, and now the university extension program. I'm taking remote classes to get my degree. You?" "No plans for college, just life. I want to be a singer and write songs and be on the radio and tour the country," he said. "I'll come to your concerts. What have you written?" I asked. Isaac blushed. "It's not very good." "I want to hear you sing sometime," I said. We stopped for ice cream cones at the diner back in Triple Falls before he drove me back to Grandma G's. We shared a secret smile and traded numbers and promised to meet again on Friday night. Isaac promised to show me the song he had written. Grandma G was snoring in her chair, TV blaring some sitcom. She couldn't stay awake long enough for the evening news. As I carried her to her bedroom, she stirred, and I helped her get into her nightie and tucked her into bed. She'd eaten most of her dinner, but drank all of her wine. Grandma G was a dear old soul. I smiled as I washed her dishes and cleaned up. I spent an hour working on the computer, getting a paper ready for my professor. He wanted it emailed by Friday. I lay in bed, drifting into sleep, and dreaming about Isaac. Something woke me. Some guys playing the radio too loud, and laughing. They sounded drunk and close. My phone said 2 a.m. Some instinct made me pick up my phone, look out the window, and start recording. The street only had one street lamp, and it was on the corner of the Smith property. But the night was bright, with headlights and floodlights. They came from a truck. A big black truck. A 4-door Chevy Silverado. A guy straddled the front seat passenger window, half hanging on with one hand. The other held a baseball bat. 4 guys, I think. The driver, the guy halfway out the window, and 2 others in the back seat. The heavy engine growled. The truck revved up, peeling out, and when it started moving, it gouged deep tread marks in Grandma G's lawn. The guy with the baseball bat swung. It connected with the mailbox I had spent so much time putting together. Boom. It shattered the mailbox. Pieces went flying. The guy with the baseball bat laughed, jumped out, and hit the remains of the mailbox again. Boom. The big black truck backed up, running over the remains of the mailbox. The guy jumped back in. Then the driver shifted gears and sped away, with the guys laughing and cheering. The truck sped down the road until they disappeared behind the clump of trees separating Grandma G's property from Mrs. Gillespie's. The mailbox, how bad was it damaged? I ran outside into the cool, crisp air in nothing but my flannel sleep pants and bare feet. The concrete was cold. That didn't bother me. One look at the end of the driveway, and I wanted to scream. The mailbox was scattered all over the lawn. I'd spent a month working on that. Oh no, Grandma G, if she saw the mess, she'd start crying. I walked over to the remains and picked up the door pieces. Shattered. My beautiful mailbox was destroyed. Tire tracks from where the truck had backed up ran right through the middle of it. Son, what happened? Mr. Smith asked, holding his phone in flashlight mode. Grandma G's mailbox. They were in a truck. They destroyed it, I said. Mr. Smith let me use his phone, because I was still recording all of this, and I called the police. Officer Cartwright came out, took statements and pictures, but since we didn't have a license plate number, she couldn't do anything. I showed her the video, but it was dark and grainy and didn't show much detail. I sent it to her phone. She did find a beer bottle, which she bagged and tagged and took with her. She left me her card and her cell number. I placed it under a magnet on the old fridge. The next morning, I stared at the mailbox pieces before I had to leave for work. Grandma G cried a little. It was so beautiful, she softly moaned. I helped her get to her chair and got her a little breakfast before I rode my bicycle to work. That afternoon, I had just gotten home from work and was kneeling over the debris when Isaac jogged past. I guess he saw what had happened and ran up to me. There was something hollow about his eyes. What happened? Can I help clean up? I told him what happened and showed him the video. Isaac didn't say anything as we lined up the broken pieces on the backyard table. Grandma G sat in a chair next to us, picking up a piece of the filigree and the little flag, and every so often she quietly said, "It was so cute." My heart broke. Listen, I think I know the guys who did this. Let me look at the video again, Isaac said, setting a piece of the broken stand down. He frowned, then wobbled a broken piece of a wall. I showed him the video. Grandma started to cough, so I went to the fridge to get her a can of lemonade. Isaac followed. He stared at the magnets on the fridge, at the police officer's card, and said, Officer Cartwright? You called the police?" I handed Isaac a can of lemonade and said, "I did. It happened too fast. A black truck, a guy sticking out the window with a baseball bat, and pieces of the mailbox all over everywhere. I called them because I don't know what to do. Will it happen again? Do I build it again? Will it just get destroyed?" We went back outside, and I opened a can for Grandma G, and she took a long sip. I opened my can, and the lemonade sourness tasted good on my throat. Isaac tried to piece together a couple fragments, the roof, I think, then looked at me. I was a junior in high school, and these guys wouldn't stop picking on me. These look like the same guys, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen them for a couple of years. Would you recognize the truck if you saw it in daylight? I don't know. What do I do now? Grandma G needs a mailbox, I said. Isaac stared at me, a hollowness about his eyes. It vanished, and he smiled. "Let me take you out to dinner tonight. I have some ideas." "You paid last time, so it's my turn to pay tonight," I said. "Sounds like a date. See you about 6, Isaac said, pausing, before he added, "Listen, my brother tries to annoy me by hiding my phone. If you can't get a hold of me, leave a message with my dad." "Sounds like you live with a jerk," I said, programming the number into my phone. I watched Isaac right away and smiled. Could there be something electric between us? "Will you be all right, Grandma G, if I go out again?" I said. Grandma G giggled. "Must be somebody cute." "Don't get jealous, but yes, it's with Isaac," I said. Isaac picked me up a few minutes before 6. 2 miles outside of Triple Falls is the auto wrecking yard. Guys go there looking for spare parts for cars. We parked outside and walked in. "Why are we here?" I asked. Isaac grinned. "Let me tell you how devious I am." We ate at the diner, a pad of paper between us. We sketched our ideas for a new mailbox. "Back in high school, why did those guys pick on you? Did they know you were bi or something?" I asked. Isaac didn't look at me. The hollowness came back into his eyes, then he softly said, "I wasn't completely truthful earlier. Dad had a previous wife, and they had a son, Everett. She died 6 months later, car accident. Dad remarried my mom, and they had me a year later. My half-brother is almost 2 years older than me, but he ended up being only 1 grade ahead of me. Everett never forgave Dad for getting married again, and hated me for existing. Made my life hell until Mom threatened to divorce Dad unless he did something. Turns out, Dad didn't have to. Everett never finished high school, but was shipped off to juvie, and then was on an ankle bracelet for 6 months with my uncle down in Wyoming. Heard he got his GED. I didn't see him for a long time, not until he came back here a few weeks ago." "What did he do back then?" Isaac looked past me as he spoke. Everett had just turned 17. I was 15. He got a girl pregnant. Her dad demanded that he marry her. Everett got angry and beat him up pretty bad. Threw a tantrum and broke the windows. Cops were called. Everett quickly stole some stuff to pawn, including their car, trying to get out of town. He didn't even make it out of Montana before they slapped the silver bracelets on him. Over the next week, we met at Grandpa's old workshop, putting together our ideas. We envisioned a robot standing about 5 feet tall, with its head being the mailbox. Grandpa Johann didn't just work with wood, he also worked with metal. Both Isaac and I had learned how to weld back in high school shop class. Isaac also knew how to work with gadgets, because when we eventually finished, our robot would have working lights, a simple hydraulic system, and a few other bells and whistles. We built it out of old car parts and an old drone controller minus the drone. The special touch? We found this thick metal that must have come from an old tank. We also found a 10-foot steel beam. Good thing the owner knew a guy who could deliver what we purchased, and it only cost me a 6-pack. I rented a post hole digger, and our neighbor Mr. Smith knew how to use it. We made the hole 8 foot deep and sunk the steel beam all the way down and surrounded it with rebar and concrete. That baby wasn't going anywhere. It would survive a nuclear explosion. "You two are paranoid," Mrs. Gillespie, our neighbor on the other side of the old pine tree, said one day, as we were fitting our robot's legs around the beam. "If it works, I want one." "We could go into business and make these by the truckload," I said. It took us 2 weeks to get it almost finished. It was a Thursday, about 2 a.m. I had gotten up to grab some leftover pizza and a root beer when I heard the music. Then the laughter. Oh no, they're back. I rushed to the window and started recording. The black truck sped past us, past the clump of pine trees, and to Mrs. Gillespie's yard. It seemed like the same people. A driver, some guy hanging out the window with a baseball bat, but only one guy in the back seat. Once they were past the pines, I couldn't see them anymore, but I heard them. Boom! "It's raining mail," somebody yelled. More laughter. The engine roared as the truck sped off. I ran outside, still recording, but only caught the tail end of the truck. The Smiths came outside, and Mrs. Gillespie, she yelled into her phone. I suspect she called the police. Her mailbox was on the ground, surrounded by uncollected mail and nearly bent in half with a huge dent. She had planted cone flowers in a flowering vine that twisted around the old mailbox. The truck had backed over the middle of the flowers, ruining the little flower bed and breaking what was left of the mailbox. I sent a text to Isaac, not expecting a reply until morning. They struck again. His reply came immediately. On my way. That must have been one loud whack, because Grandma G hobbled on her cane wearing an old robe and said, "Your flowers were so pretty." After a couple of minutes, Isaac rode up on his green and black Honda, wearing jeans and a coat. He climbed off and stared at me. "Aren't you cold?" I never noticed. I was wearing my usual nighttime stylish attire, shirtless, flannel sleep pants, and bare feet. I'd forgotten my shoes, and now my feet were freezing, and the rest of me. Isaac took off his coat and gave it to me to put on. It was warm and comfortable and smelled a little like whatever cologne he wore. I looked at him, grateful, and tried not to blush. Isaac had that hollow look about his eyes again. A squad car arrived, and Officer Cartwright got out. I showed her the video. Like the other one, it was grainy, a little out of focus, and impossible to get many details. Officer Cartwright wanted a copy, so I sent it to her. Later, Isaac and I sat at the kitchen table, drinking hot chocolate and eating some of Grandma G's lemon bars, and talking. I helped Grandma G get back into bed, and Isaac and I sat on the couch, comfortable with each other. My phone alarm woke me. I quickly turned it off. Isaac and I had fallen asleep on the sofa, kind of laying together, him sort of laying on top of me. His soft breathing, his warmth, his closeness, the barely audible snore. I wrapped him in my arms, wanting this moment to last forever. I didn't want to disturb him. I held him, imagining what it would be like if we were boyfriends. Since my parents kicked me out, I haven't had much luck in the romance department. The longest relationship I've had has been 3 months. Maybe I'm not confident enough. Maybe I'm afraid that once they get to know me, they'll kick me out of their lives too. Maybe deep down, I don't feel worthy to have someone love me. My parents don't. I guess it affected me. Isaac stirred, his eyes blinking open. "Morning." The hollow look about his eyes returned. "Morning," I said. We shared a look, and suddenly we both smiled. "Glenn, you naughty boy. A gentleman late-night caller? I'll make breakfast," Grandma G said, giggling and looking into the living room. I helped Grandma G make breakfast, pancakes with real maple syrup, and eggs with bits of bacon and fried ham. As I was walking Isaac out to his bike, we paused. The moment was right. We sort of leaned into each other. and kissed. Something electric shot through me. I bit my lip to hide the smile. Did Isaac feel it too? Isaac softly laughed, and we kissed again. Friday, Grandma G stayed with Mrs. Gillespie while Isaac and I rode Isaac's bike to Missoula. Once we parked, we wandered through downtown Missoula, finally stopping at a restaurant and bar called Red's. A live band played, and they had cleared an area for dancing. We ordered a small steak and baked potato for me, a steak and spiced corn for Isaac, and while we waited, I took Isaac to the dance floor. It was an older mom-and-pop crowd, so it was older songs, and we got a lot of weird looks, but we had fun. When we left, we walked through the city streets, quietly talking, and eventually we paused under an awning and kissed. It seemed like I floated the entire ride home, and when Isaac dropped me off at Mrs. Gillespie's, I told Grandma G all about our date. She was tired, so I put her to bed, but there was no way I could sleep, not after tonight. I was beyond happy. Instead, I transferred the video of the big black truck destroying the mailbox I had made to my laptop and pulled up some YouTube videos on video enhancement. After I downloaded a freeware recommended on one video, I played around with the settings. I zoomed in, lightening the video and enhancing the screen. I easily got a clear picture of the guy with the baseball bat. I printed it. And one of the driver. I printed that one too. He kind of looked like Isaac, so that must be the older half-brother, Everett Nelson. The guy in the passenger door? I didn't recognize him, but printed the picture anyway. It took a little bit of adjustment. Okay, a lot of adjustment. And I had to rewind a few frames to find the right position. I had it, and I lightened it as much as I could. No way. It can't be. I zoomed in almost to maximum. I wasn't wrong. My heart went cold. It was Isaac. I printed the picture and stared at it. I've been dating that guy. I've kissed him. We had grown close. I had serious feelings for him. Was our relationship all a game to him? What was he planning? We had built the new mailbox together. Was he setting me up so they could destroy me and my grandma again? Was he in the truck that destroyed Mrs. Gillespie's mailbox? I transferred the new video from my phone to my laptop. Except for the guy hanging out the window with the baseball bat, I didn't get a good enough view to zero in on anybody. I stared at my phone, writing a one-word text, "Why?" with a broken heart emoji. It took another 2 minutes before I had the courage to hit send. His response came back in seconds. Coming over. I waited in one of the porch chairs. My stomach wouldn't relax. 2 minutes later, his Honda pulled up. A small suitcase was fastened to it. It was 12:30 in the morning. He walked past the partially finished new mailbox, resting a hand on it, before looking up at me. A sad smile flickered on his face. The hollow look was back in his eyes, but it was worse. Almost like he fought tears. Isaac took a seat on the porch and I said, "Why? I liked you." In a voice I had to strain to hear, Isaac said, "Everett's been bullying me for most of my life. He hates me. When he was hauled off, I thought life would get better. It didn't. Dad always preferred him to me. It didn't matter that I got better grades or got a job that paid real money. My bike, it's paid for, and my guitars, they were paid for. I have enough so I can get my own place, a nice place." I wasn't Dad's ideal. I wasn't the golden child from his beloved first wife. I wasn't tough enough or strong enough or man enough. Everett finally returned home 2 months ago. Somehow he'd come into some money, because he never worked. He probably stole it. We always fought. We still did. Everett took Dad's new truck out every night so he could go drinking and partying. Dad let him. Everett's old friends always went with him. Mom thought it would be a great bonding moment for the two sons to spend a night drinking and partying. It wasn't. It turned into a disaster. Yeah, I was in the truck when they hit the mailbox, and I screamed at them. They ignored me. They were only having fun. When we got home, I told them I was going to tell the cops. Mom yelled that you don't call cops on family, especially since Everett already had a police record. Dad said if I told anyone, he'd disown me. Everett called me a narc, and if I told the cops, I'd better watch my back. I've been coming over and helping because I felt guilty and trapped. While we worked, I fell for you. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do. We were silent a moment. I didn't know what to say. Too many feelings cascaded inside me. Betrayal, anger, hurt, confusion, sadness. I should have told you sooner. I'm sorry, Isaac whispered. The door pushed open and Grandma G stood there, a plate of her thumbprint cookies in one hand. Isaac, you'll have to forgive my grandson. I need to remind him his manners. It's cold outside, Glenn. Invite your guest in, make him some hot chocolate, and give him a cookie. What do I do, Grandma G? I asked, not getting up. Isaac already said sorry by helping you build a new mailbox, but he didn't drive the truck, and he didn't break the old one, Grandma G said. Isaac, do you need a place to stay the night? Dad kicked me out, and Mom won't stand up to him. I don't have any place to go, Isaac said. I left my seat and stood by Isaac, taking his hand. Why did they kick you out? I sent Officer Cartwright an email telling her everything. Even if she does get it, it won't be till Monday, and what can she do? Nobody was hurt, only a little vandalism, Isaac said. Sounds to me like Isaac needs a place to stay, and a new family. My grandmother, God rest her soul, used to say, if there's room in your heart, there's room at your dining room table. My heart has plenty of room, and so does my table. Glenn, does your heart have room? Grandma G asked. I sort of smiled, saying, I guess it does, Grandma. In that case, we have a couch. Or, Glenn, since your bed is the bigger one, if you don't mind sharing, Grandma G said. You don't mind me staying over? I promise, it's only until I find a place, Isaac said. I walked over to Isaac's bike, putting the kickstand up. Let's park this in Grandpa's workshop in case Everett goes on a rampage. Once the bike was parked inside Grandpa's workshop, Isaac took his little suitcase and we went inside. The contents broke my heart. The guy barely had a change of clothes. Isaac and I lay in the big bed, and we talked the rest of the night until we finally fell asleep. The next day, right after breakfast, we spent a couple of hours finishing the new mailbox. It was a robot, exactly like we designed. Black, silver, gold with red highlights, built of old car parts. It looked like something stepped out of a sci-fi movie. Grandma G took one look and said, That looks like a Boris. Boris the invulnerable robot, I said. That afternoon, Isaac dropped me off to work while he went to his, and when we got back home, we made lasagna with blueberry cheesecake for dessert. Of course, Grandma G had her 4 ounces of wine. Once I put Grandma G to bed, Isaac and I vegged out, streaming some comedy before we went to bed. I thought it would be uncomfortable, sleeping next to somebody, but it seemed natural to sleep next to Isaac. Comfortable. Peaceful. I placed my hands behind my head and casually listened as Isaac breathed. A truck engine woke me. A voice. Look at what they built. Have you ever seen a mailbox look like a robot? That's pretty cool. I can't wait to break it. Another voice. Everett's. This is the house my brother narked on me about. Let's get even. The cops can't catch us, not with the nitro you installed, another guy said. I gently shook Isaac awake, and we made our way to the front window. The big black four-door Chevy Silverado was back. I started recording. A guy I took to be Everett gulped his beer, squashed the can in his fist, and threw the can on Grandma G's lawn. He was in the driver's seat. First we destroy the stupid robot, then we drive the streets until we find my brother. We destroy his bike, then we destroy him. I glanced at Isaac. Good thing Grandma G was asleep. The truck backed up, revved its engine, and deliberately spun its tires. The guys were loud and laughing. The one guy sat on the edge of the front passenger side window, a baseball bat held high. The guy in the seat behind him rolled up his window. I don't need broken mailbox bits all over me. I should call the cops, but if I did, I'd have to stop filming. Isaac pulled his phone out, dialed, and whispered, "Is this Officer Cartwright?" The truck revved again, and with all the power its 6.2-liter V8 420-horsepower engine could supply, it leaped forward. The guy with the bat raised the bat, howling. The other guys were screaming. Boris the robot wouldn't stand a chance, not against that. It happened fast. The guy swung the bat. It hit the head of the robot. The 10-foot steel beam we sunk into the ground gave the robot strength, maybe too much. The head did not go flying. Smash. Crack. Boom. The bat hit. Instead of going through the head, it bounced backwards, forcing the guy's arm in an impossible angle. Oh my God, had he broken his elbow? He screamed. The momentum of the bat made the bat hit the closed window behind him. It shattered the window. Broken glass showered the guy in the back seat, and that guy screamed. But that's not all. The bat continued its swing into the window and struck that guy in the face. He screamed louder and swore. Boris the robot had come to life. Its arms waving, the lights on its face and torso blinked on, and a camera flashed and kept flashing. A spotlight glared into life, highlighting the truck. Boris yelled, "Danger, danger, intruder alert, exterminate," and he repeated it. Boris rose on its hydraulics. A siren ripped through the air, and the water gun activated. The pressure was as high as we could make it. It sprayed inside the truck, full force, through both windows, the open and the broken. The guy sitting on the edge of the window fell out of the truck. The guy in the back seat yelled, "Punch it, nitro!" But his voice sounded funny. The water hit Everett full in the face. "What the hell?" Everett screamed and hit the gas. The truck shot forward. Its loudness ripped through the air and suddenly stopped. It hit the pine trees separating us from Mrs. Gillespie's house. Crash, smash, boom. The truck hit hard, buckling the hood. "Danger, danger, intruder alert, exterminate," Boris yelled. The robot swiveled, its water still spraying the truck. The water must have gotten into the cab's electronics, because the whole truck went dark. Everett stumbled out of the truck, holding his head. He had a couple of cuts on his face. Everett took a quick glance at the crashed truck and yelled, "Good Lord, what the F? It's not even my truck. Dad's going to kill me." The guy in the back seat held his nose and yelled like he had a stuffed nose, "Open the door. I think my nose is broken because it won't stop bleeding." The guy who had held the baseball bat clutched his arm, rolling on the ground, whimpering, and the robot yelled, "Danger, danger, intruder alert, exterminate." Grandma G yelled, "What's all the racket?" I looked over at the door. Grandma G had stepped outside? She was supposed to be asleep. "You will pay, old hag," Everett screamed. He reached through the broken window. grabbing the baseball bat. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Oh shit. I ran to Grandma G, standing in front of her, phone pointing at Everett. I shouted, "How dare you threaten an 80-year-old woman? Monster, you leave my grandmother alone." He gave me a mean smile, saying, "I've been called worse. You owe me for the truck." "You owe me for the mailbox," I shouted. What was I thinking? I was confronting a guy who was meaner, taller, more muscular, had an attitude, and a police record, and all I had was a phone and flannel sleep pants. Everett screamed, "I'm taking you out. I'm effing you up." "You know the police are on their way," Isaac said, stepping next to me. "If I were you, I'd run. We have you on video." "Isaac, you effing did this. You betrayed the family. I'm getting revenge," Everett yelled and raised the bat. He started walking towards us. Options were limited, but I had one. I dialed Isaac's dad, praying for a miracle. "This better be important," a man growled. I put the phone on speaker and said, "Mr. Nelson, Everett just crashed your truck trying to destroy my mailbox. He's threatening an 80-year-old woman with a baseball bat, and the police are coming to pick him up. His friends are injured. Your truck is dead, and if you don't get your piece of crap son and your truck off my property, I'm suing you for $500,000. I have video proof. Better call a tow and an ambulance." Mr. Nelson swore. I don't think I've heard that many swear words strung together in one sentence. Ever. "Dad, it's not my fault. They had this robot," Everett yelled. "My big, strong, tough son got beat by an old woman and a toy robot? You crashed my truck? You stay put because I'm following my truck's last GPS signal." Another string of swear words. "But, Dad, it looked like a mailbox and it shot water. It's not my fault. Dad, it's Isaac's fault," Everett yelled. Sirens erupted in the distance. "I didn't even know you took my truck. Now you're threatening an old woman? The cops will throw your worthless butt in jail. You're an adult." Then came another string of swear words. "Dad, Isaac built it to get revenge. It's his fault," Everett yelled. "Just wait until I get there because somebody is going to pay," Mr. Nelson yelled. A minute later, Officer Cartwright pulled up and stared at the wrecked truck, and the Smiths came over to visit, and Mrs. Gillespie came over. A fire truck and an ambulance parked by the robot, and then Mr. Nelson pulled up in a regular car. Everett and Isaac's dad had arrived. He looked like a huge grizzly bear in a murderous mood and must be 2 feet taller than me and 150 pounds heavier, and solid muscle. I swallowed. This man could break me in half with one hand. I'm in trouble. By this time, Isaac and I were holding hands. They loaded Everett's 2 friends into the back of the ambulance, and Isaac's dad looked at the mailbox robot. He scowled, wiping the water off some of the lights, checked out the hidden water nozzle. Grandma G went back into the house and returned with a plate of cookies, which she walked around offering one to everyone. Mr. Nelson walked over and looked at the wrecked truck. The firemen had attached their winch to the truck, and with a shout they pulled it, creaking, from the trees. The 4-door Chevy Silverado's grill had taken more damage than I thought. Mr. Nelson opened the passenger door, frowned at the water leaking out. He felt the carpet, the seats, gently touched the edge of the broken window. His frown turned into a very deep, ugly grimace, the kind where the brows furrowed and his lips pressed together. "Dad's not happy," Isaac whispered. "Everett did kind of wreck the truck," I whispered back. "That was an expensive truck," Isaac whispered. "Those will be expensive repairs. Does insurance cover getting defeated by a robot?" I whispered. Officer Cartwright took our statements, and we took a couple of cookies from Grandma G. Everett watched Mr. Nelson inspect the truck, and Everett's smile became a boastful smirk. "Isaac, you're going to pay for this." Mr. Nelson tapped the robot, then hit the robot. The robot shouted, "Danger, danger, intruder alert, exterminate," and the water sprayed the side of the ambulance. "You destroyed Dad's truck. He's going to plant you 6 feet under," Everett said. "Didn't you hear? Dad kicked me out tonight," Isaac said. Everett gave an evil chuckle. "You're nothing but a narc. Dad will hunt you and your boyfriend down. You're both dead." Mr. Nelson came over, growled, and looked at the baseball bat in Everett's hand. Grandma G walked up to Mr. Nelson, holding her plate of cookies. She was tiny compared to him. She said, "Oh my goodness, why it's little Billy Nelson all grown up. Would you like a cookie?" Mr. Nelson took one and said, "Thank you, Genevieve. My boy's causing you trouble." "Isaac is a dear and has been helping my grandson make my new mailbox, but Everett destroyed my last one. You should have seen it. It was like my cuckoo clock straight from Germany." And then Grandma G whispered as if sharing a secret, "You know, I suspect Isaac and Glenn are sweet on each other, if you know what I mean. Did you know Glenn helps me make cookies?" Grandma G said. "We've got other issues tonight, ma'am," Mr. Nelson said, and strode up to me and Isaac. "You built that robot?" "Yes, sir," Isaac and I said at the same time. Mr. Nelson's face set like stone, and his eyes were angry, and he asked, "That little robot defeated my son and destroyed my truck?" "If Everett hadn't tried to destroy the mailbox, nothing would have happened," Isaac said. "Don't listen to him, Dad. Isaac's jealous because he doesn't have any friends," Everett yelled. "I don't know how Mr. Nelson managed to look even angrier, but he did," he said. "Whose idea was it to shoot water?" "Isaac suggested it, but it took both of us to make it work. We were trying to figure out how to keep Everett from coming back, so we thought if he got a face full of water," I said. I showed Mr. Nelson tonight's video. His scowl deepened. He swore again. He turned to Everett and said, "Let's get this right. You don't have a job, so you're mooching off of me and your stepmom, and now you take my truck without permission. Again. You steal my booze from my liquor cabinet. Again. I can smell the alcohol on your breath, so you've been driving drunk. Again. You've been smashing mailboxes. Again. Then you wreck my brand new truck. Now I can't even drive to work, and it's a 30-minute drive. What am I supposed to do? I can't use Mom's car because she has to get to work. You're too lazy to get a job and buy a car yourself. Should I ask your brother? He rides a motorcycle, and I'm sure I'm too big to fit on it. Should I ask Genevieve if she'll give me a ride to work after you tried to destroy her mailbox?" Grandma G gave a soft chuckle. "I'm sorry, Billy, but I can't help. My driving days are long gone, and my grandson doesn't own a car." I shrugged. "You can borrow my bicycle." Everett interrupted, screaming, "Dad, it wasn't my fault. It's Isaac and his boyfriend's fault. That stupid thing shot water at me, and they made me crash. They wrecked your truck, not me. Get mad at Isaac." Mr. Nelson almost smiled when he said, "My son was beaten by a glorified sprinkler. Isaac, heaven knows where you got your brains, but it weren't from me or your mom, and Everett sure didn't inherit any. I owe you and Glenn and Genevieve an apology. You can come back home if you want. I think Everett needs some time in a jail before I go nuclear." "But, Dad," Everett whined. "When did you turn into a whiny little witch?" Mr. Nelson shouted. Isaac looked at me, an odd questioning look about his eyes. "Thanks, Dad, but I have somewhere else to stay now, if Glenn and Grandma G will let me." Grandma G held out her cookies and said, "If there's room in your heart, there's room at the table, and my heart's got room." I leaned into Isaac and whispered, "There's room in my heart, too." The end. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with me to the end. I appreciate it. We'll see you next Wednesday. Peace.